When Daniel had his vision, and that vision was recorded and given to God's people, and when the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles were written and described Christ's ascension, and when St. John received his vision and wrote the book of Revelation, and they wrote about this reality we've been talking about tonight, they did it to people who were suffering. Not people who were suffering from insecurities, not people who were suffering from sort of low-grade inconveniences and minor problems, but people who were suffering, people who were enslaved, people who had family members being killed, sometimes in front of them, sometimes tortured to death, for trying to be faithful to God. And in all of these cases, what this vision proclaims very powerfully is that regardless of who claims to be Lord, whether it's Nebuchadnezzar, whether it's Cyrus or Darius, whether it's Antiochus Epiphanes, whether it's Caesar, whoever claims to be Lord isn't. Whoever claims to be Lord is a pretender and a fake, just like the gods they worship. Because the one who is truly Lord is our Lord Jesus Christ. He is the one who has all dominion and authority on earth. The only thing the fake lords can do is kill and destroy. They're sort of like Janus and Jambres, the magicians in Egypt, right? Who come to, this sometimes gives people problems because they're like, well, how could they replicate what Moses did? Well, think about what they replicated, right? Through Moses, all of the drinkable water in Egypt is turned into blood, except for a very little bit. And the magicians show up and turn that last little bit into blood and make it undrinkable. Thanks. And then, Egypt is infested with frogs and vermin. And they're like, hey, well, we could make more frogs and vermin. So, yeah, they can destroy. They can kill. They can't create. They can't do what God does. And so in their anger and to try to prove that they're really Lord, they will come and they will inflict suffering. They will come and kill the people of God. They will come and attack them at the behest of the gods that they worship. But what we see in the saints and the martyrs is because they had this same vision. Like St. Stephen had this vision, the vision we see described of Christ enthroned. They would literally, in some cases, mock the people who were torturing them to death. They would make jokes as they were being fried on a rack that they were done on the one side and needed to be flipped over, like St. Lawrence. They would ignore, the sufferings. They were unimportant. Because the truth is that no one can harm the righteous man. The person who loves Christ and belongs to Christ, the worst they could do to you is kill you. And when that happens, you go to rule and reign with him, including ruling and reigning over and eventually judging that person who murdered you. That's the promise that we have in this vision. And so if we really understand what the ascension is about, this should give us a lot more confidence in the way that we live our life. This is where St. Paul got his confidence, despite the shipwrecks and the beatings and the persecution and the hatred and the mocking he took. He knew that for him to live was Christ and to die was gain. And so he didn't have to be afraid of anything or anyone. Anything anyone did to him would ultimately work for his benefit, for his blessings and his glory, and blessings and glory that are eternal over against sufferings that are temporary, even if they go on for our whole lives here on this earth. So that, to me, I think is sort of a takeaway. If we really have this vision before us, then all of a sudden we don't have to worry about who's president. We don't have to worry about whether certain bills pass Congress. We don't really have to worry about anything anymore because we serve and, more importantly, are loved by the God who rules over all of it.